So in this video, we are going to have a look at fake fog using post-process volume. Okay, so it would be something like this. Yeah. Now, the reason we want to look into this is because you will be in a situation professionally where you need to do this, or it will be the starting point of something more complex, or you're doing VR or mobile games. Whatever the reason, it's a very useful way to. Okay, so a breakdown of this. So what does the scene texture does? Process input 0. Essentially, this node captures the current frame render target, and its starting point is to apply the post-process effect. So we use it basically to provide a base image to which the fog effect will be added, which obviously is at the back here. The scene texture depth. This gives the depth information for each pixel in the scene, as previously mentioned. You could see this here, right? So it's basically provide us this information, and we use it to determine how far each pixel is from the camera, which is crucial for creating this kind of fog effect with distance. These three vectors. In this case, this is to do the color fog, and these vectors, one vector's parameters are minimum and maximum depth. Okay, we are using the mask for isolating specific channels. So here we are specific because this is a 4 vector, and we have to make it into 3 vector. And we're getting the X, Y, Z, kind of, more or less. And it's the same principle here. We want not the Z, we don't want the Y, we want the X. So we're isolating the red channel, which is the X, and getting what's in front of the camera to decide the depth channel for the texture below. Okay. And we're using add, and add is to again isolate or add addition to input, so we can use it to combine the base color with the fog color. Okay, and then we add the base adaptation calculation here below. Okay, and then we have the using divide. So the reason we use divide is to divide one input by the other. So we are using this to normalize the depth value or just intensity of the fog based on the depth, which we are gathering here. The reason we used Lerp a few times is because these nodes blend two inputs based on the weight, so the comparison between two values. And in this case, it's basically smoothing the fog effect based on the scene depth in both occasions here. The reason we use absolute roll position, the reason we use texture sample, I guess, is to get the texture effect that we're looking for. In this case, we're using a noise to add on top of the fog to make it more realistic. The reason we're using the absolute roll position is because we need the position of each pixel to accurately add this effect. So we're using this to create a position-based effect, such as making fog thicker in certain areas of the world. The reason we're using this 3 vector as a red is again because we are addressing the X channel in front of the camera to talk to the remaining view upstairs in the node. The time node is running time in seconds, so we use it to animate effects such as making the fog move. We're using the speed to combine it with the time node to control the rate of the fog effect, and we're multiplying it together to adjust the intensity of different effects. Okay, and texture size that we have going on here and there. Here, this is basically because we need to scale the texture so it's visible or not, depending on our needs. And then we have, as I said, the minimum and the maximum is basically for us to set the limit of the fog effect so it doesn't extend infinitely, because again, there's no point for us to see it all the way at the end. And the reason we use the saturate or the clamp is obviously to make sure it doesn't go all the way to the end, because that basically means you're gonna make it super bright. Okay, hopefully that's useful. I hope you had fun watching up the sped up video of me struggling. It's just to showcase that like it's not always easy for me either. And this, and just do a scene. Texture, and then we go pro processes, then we do a scene texture again, and this time we do scene depth, and then we check again that this is in fact being functional, it's working here, and then let's see, it's adjusting in the post process, fair enough. And then we want to add a mask. We go there, and we want all directions because we're taking all direction of the screen. Then we want a mask for just the red, which is the X direction. Let's put that in there. And then let's just multiply it together for now and see if that works. And that seems to work okay. Then let's try and add the a color. Could just also helps with debug, so let's just do red for now. And we want to, we can just add it like this, I suppose, and actually maybe it's supposed to be like that, like so, and then have a look. Okay, that kind of works. Then we want to clamp and divide because of the brightness at the back, because it's infinite. So it's just going to increase and increase in value, and we want to reduce that. So let's add a divide. And then for the divide, what are we dividing? Well, we're dividing this one. And then we're putting that in there. Dividing by 2. But we need a bigger value, so let's add a parameter. Hold on, 1 to define the depth, which is then being divided. Let's put in, I don't know, 5,000. Maybe a little bit of overkill. And we're dividing to get control of the depth. And then we need to clamp it, and we can use a cheap one called Saturate. And we'll connect that into this before we do this. And that removes the brightness at the back. But it doesn't do exactly what I would expect it to do. Because at the moment it's flat, so if I go 50, what happens? Okay, if I go larger value, let's go like crazy. Okay, so now I need a crazier value because I'm clamping and dividing at the same time, so that's fine. Then let's change the color and just see how it looks like. If I go a bit more normal fog color, how does that change? Okay, that's believable. Maybe even go more darker. Yeah, okay. Then and then I want to do, okay, so let's just convert this to minimum depth, minimum depth, because we want to control the minimum and the maximum now. And for that we could use, so we want to compare between two things. So we want the linear interpret. We want to put that into A and then into B and just click apply just to make sure it's always working. Then I'm going to duplicate this and I want to do this in here. And what happens if I put this one to 500 or 5000? Okay, so now we have a bit more foggy depth to it, I suppose. But I duplicated this, which means it's copying the number, which is a thing I've noticed. So let's make a completely new one and then put in higher value. And then the goal would be to find, do I need to go like a lot lower to really push things? And this one probably needs to go a lot higher. Okay, so a bit, maybe that's an overkill. Okay, so we have like a bit of fog there. Maybe we could increase the minimum depth to 5000. Maybe 500. Okay. And maybe not even, maybe do put 1 instead. Yeah, maybe 2. Yeah, maybe even 3. Okay, so good enough. Then we want to try and combine this together a bit differently. So let's do separate the, let's separate the color and let's separate the scene and let's separate the depth. And then let's put that in. Let's delete that. Okay. So now we're comparing the color with the scene, and then we're adding the depth between them. So we get that fade. Then we want to, I guess the next thing that we would like to do would be to add let's add a texture. Let's find the inbuilt is called volumetric, and we want something to have a 4D volumetric. And to do that, we need the absolute wall position to assign this, and we should really gonna need to divide it. And then we're dividing because we want to have a scale for the size. Let's do like 500. and then that will be set into the alpha. Maybe we need to have it bigger. So you can see here the volume texture there. Oh, it's not that one, is it? So if I do one. So let's rename that to volume texture size. Let's animate this using the 3 vector for the coordinates and time and multiply, speed, and multiply again. And then put an add there, put this there, put this there. Plus actually this needs to stay there. This needs to be here. Like this. And then we need to do we're gonna go on the screen axis. So we want the red because we want the X. We want to multiply it, the time, with an extra speed. So let's call that speed. And for the sake of it, let's just do like, I don't know, something big. We want that to be multiplied together. And then we apply. And now you see there are, you can see it moving here at the back. You can see here as well. Let me see if we can get closer and have a look. And then I don't know if it needs to be bigger or smaller. It's all like a tweaky thing. But to show you, I guess we could do this here. And essentially what we're doing, we are taking this texture and we are making it a bit too fast. So basically we are giving it a certain speed, maybe like 50. Yeah, and you can see here that we are trying to move this. You can see it's moving pretty slowly. So we might want to do, I don't know, you might want to do 1000 maybe. And then if we apply it, you can see it's coming a bit blurry, so that's a bit too much and too fast. So it's really a subtle thing we are doing. Okay, so that's still quite fast. Maybe 100 should be sufficient. And then we are basically putting it all together. And let it adjust. And then we basically have our fog, which you can adjust accordingly. So now if we turn it on and off, you have something you can work with. and make better than what I just did. God forsaken. It was a pain in the ass just to get this to work. This is why I sped up, so you could see that I was struggling a bit. But hopefully that's useful.